And I'm really excited about today. This is the launch of the ManHealth ManBassador program that Our Minds Work have curated. We're very excited. It's been months and months and months of development, planning, and we're ready now to make it fully public and officially launch it today. So I hope you're just as excited as we are. So let's get going. There are going to be time for questions at the end, so please pop in any of your questions in the chat box as we go, and we'll make sure that they're answered at the end before everybody leaves. So let's start with a little bit of an introduction. I'm going to hand you over to Paul Bannister to introduce himself and ManHealth.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you all for attending this launch today. We're really excited. We really consider this program to be a game changer in men's health. So my name is Paul Bannister. I founded ManHealth in late 2015. ManHealth support men who identify as struggling with their mental health. We run peer support groups across the northeast of England, 6 nights of the week. We also have a web chat and connect where men can contact us 7 nights of the week from the hours of 6 till 10. And we also provide training to organizations around men's health inequalities. So nice to see you all.
Thanks, Paul. Just a little bit of background on Our Minds Work. Our Minds Work literally exists to help organisations to build their mental health and wellbeing strategies to create culture change in the workplace. We have years of experience actually designing and running mental health advocate or peer-to-peer style services in the workplace. So the ManBassador programme really was a bit of a collaboration of evolving our unique takes on mental health. From ManHealth, obviously, this is around improving men's mental health, and Our Minds Work is all about improving people's mental health in the workplace. So we're really excited about this collaboration and to tell you a little bit more about the ManBassador program. For some reason, my screen has frozen. There we go. There we go. So one of the reasons why we looked towards creating the ManBassador program was, oh gosh, the past 6 years, we've been delivering initiatives into the workplace. There seemed to be a group of people that weren't necessarily being engaged in a lot of the initiatives that were taking place. We found that a lot of the initiatives in the workplace became very generic. A lot of mental health first aid initiatives, a lot of mental health advocate initiatives were so much mainly driven by women and engaged in a lot more by women. Even the way that they were promoted were very generic or very kind of tailored towards women rather than targeting men. So we saw a huge gap where we found that actually there are a group of men who are in the workplace who are at higher risk of dying from these 5 biggest killers generally due to preventable problems that tend to go unvoiced and unrecognized and aren't really being tackled as part of workplace initiatives.
So when we started delivering training into the workplaces, one of the stats that we came across was the stat mentioned on the previous slide, that 1 in 5 men die before they reach the age of 65, which was a horrendous statistic in what is considered the 5th richest country in the world. So when we delved deeper, I decided to write a workshop that would try and encourage men to try and take more responsibility for their health. So we started a workshop that we delivered across the country, and it was about the 5 biggest preventable killers of working age men, which we're going to briefly talk about now. So what we do is we basically go into workplaces and try and encourage men to take more responsibility for their health. So by far the biggest killer in the Western world for men, for everybody, is heart disease. Men are more likely to die of circulatory disease, and 4 million men in the UK are living with heart disease or circulatory disease. So on average, there's 460 deaths every day, or 1 every 3 minutes in the United Kingdom from heart disease. So the next three biggest preventable killers we cover in the ManBassador program are all cancers. Men have a 37% higher risk of dying from cancer and a 67% higher chance of dying from cancers that affect both men and women. We'll cover why that is the case later in the presentation. So 4 in 10 cancer deaths in men are from the lung, prostate, or bowel cancer. So prostate cancer is the second biggest killer of working age men in the United Kingdom. It's the most common cancer in men. I'm always horrified by how little the men know, generally men know about prostate. So there's 47,500 men are diagnosed with prostate cancer every year. 1 man every 45 minutes dies from prostate cancer. The third biggest killer is lung cancer. It's the third most common cancer in the United Kingdom. It accounts for 13% of all cancer cases. In males, lung cancer is the most common cause of cancer death, with around 18,000 deaths per year. That not including working age men. Lung cancer tends to be predominantly a killer of older men. But interestingly enough, over 6,000 of those cases of lung cancer are people who've never smoked either. Bowel cancer, the fourth most common cancer in the United Kingdom and the fourth biggest killer of working age men. It accounts for 11% of all new cancer cases, predominantly affects people over the age of 55. So in males, in the UK, bowel cancer is the third most common cancer, with around 23,000 cases of the cancer every year. And the fifth biggest killer we talk about of working age men is suicide. In 2020, 3,700 men completed suicide in the United Kingdom. Men are 3.1 times more likely to die from suicide than women. And the age group with the highest risk of suicide are men aged between 45 and 49. Further health issues that we do touch on in the ManBassador program that are worth mentioning. Obesity, 67% of men in this country are obese, which links to the way we can prevent some of these killers. Diabetes, middle-aged men are twice as likely to have diabetes as women, and twice as likely not to know they have diabetes. And I think it's worth mentioning COVID, after we just come out of the pandemic, there was an 18% difference in the total number of COVID-related deaths between men and women.
Thanks, Paul. They're pretty stark, really. And I think that leads us into why men and why we are targeting men with this new initiative. And I think over the past 6 years, a lot of initiatives have been put into place, and we're starting to see the impacts of initiatives that work well and how they do improve health and well-being, how they do promote a culture of care, how they do, improve the workplace itself as well, and do come with an evidence return on investment. So when you hear some of the statistics like that, it really starts to hit home, actually, why are we targeting men?
So why men, I guess, is a $64,000 question, and there's no single answer to that question. The health disparities between men and women depend on a complex mix of biological, social, and behavioral factors. Men die younger than women. They are burdened by illness during life. They fall ill at a younger age, and they have more chronic illness than women. So let's begin with one of the biological factors. The fact that we have males and females are different from the very moment of conception. Each of us has 23 pairs of chromosomes. 22 of these pairs are present in both males and females, but the 23rd separates the sexes. In women, both members of the pair are X chromosomes, but in men, one is an X and one is a Y chromosome. The Y chromosome is only about a third as large as the X chromosome, and has far fewer genes And some of these genes are linked to diseases that contribute to the excess male mortality throughout life. So when it comes to health, women are certainly the strongest sex from birth. There's no debating that one. Socioeconomic status is a big factor with male deaths. We are going through a process. The government's talking about levelling up. Just to give you one stat, in the richest areas in the richest borough of the United Kingdom, which is Kensington and Chelsea, compared to some of the poorest boroughs where we based in County Durham, there's a 20-year disparity in the life expectancy between men in the two areas, which is again startling. Next one is male-specific stigma. From a very young age, young boys are bombarded with unhealthy role models that promote stereotypes of fearlessness and strong men that don't need any help. As a result, we have masculinity that's permeated in everyone's mind, and is shaping every single aspect of a man's life around strength and stoicism. So opening up is seen as a sign of weakness, which is not the expected behavior for men. And so health support for men is totally out of the picture. They often feel trapped and forced to seek alternative coping mechanisms. So when it comes to alternative coping mechanisms, men are 3 times more likely than women to become alcohol dependent. When it comes to drug use, 3 in 5 men have taken drugs compared to 52% of women. Men are more likely to use and die from illegal drugs. And men are 7.5 times more likely than women to become problem gamblers. So gendered coping strategies to deal with stress we've mentioned, and there's poor general health and risk assessment of health. I'm always constantly surprised when we go to do these health intervention talks to men, how men are very, very poor at being able to risk assess their physical and mental health. So when it comes to general health, I just pulled up this recent study that nearly 1/3 of men admit they've developed an ostrich attitude towards their health. A study of 1,000 males showed that 3/4 put off going to the doctors when they showed sign of illness, and 1/4 of them said it was because they didn't have time, and 1 in 10 said they forgot to book appointments. So men aren't aware that there's a NHS do a health check for men over 40 generally, and men just don't go and see the GP. There's all sorts of reasons why men can't access GPs, a lot to do with working patterns and the GPs not being accessible to men, but there's all sorts of reasons why men are at a huge risk from the 5 biggest preventable killers and from the other illnesses that I mentioned. Emily?
Thanks, Paul. And that occupational hazards really kind of leads us into one specific area that I think a lot of us already know about when it comes to mental health in the workplace. There's been a lot of work done specifically around construction. The vast majority of workers in the construction industry are men. And due to some of the occupational hazards that can create higher levels of work-related stress and pressure, unfortunately, we see the construction industry that has the highest rates of suicide per any other working industry, and this is 3 times the national average. So, you know, there are some specific industries where it becomes a bit of a perfect storm. You have very large male workforces. Those workforces may be very macho in how they present themselves and in the work that they do, so may find it harder to tackle the male stereotypes and stigma that they experience, meaning that they don't reach out and ask for help. But as we cover in the ManBassador program, we need to make sure that we're reaching out for men rather than waiting for men to reach out when they're in crisis. So there's a very, very specific way that we need to try and tackle all of these problems, especially when it comes to your initiatives in the workplace. They may not be engaging men, So you have some of the highest risk men in your workforces due to some of the issues that Paul's already presented on that last slide. So just a pretty recent report showed that 48.3% of construction workers took time off work due to unmanageable stress and mental health issues. And 14,000 construction workers lost their lives due to suicide between 2011 and 2017. Really, really worrying. However, we can tackle this, and that's exactly what the ManBassador programme is here to do. So then, why ManBassador? And this is really about what the programme is about, and it is a focus on men and prevention. It is completely designed and tailored to engage men into the intervention, and it's specifically designed for the workplace as well. And this is because we understand that men present differently to women when it comes to poor mental and physical health. And we've already heard a little bit about how men find it harder to risk assess their health as well. So part of the ManBassador programme looks at how men present differently and how we can actually provide engagement and tools and activities to help them to recognise how they present and to increase help-seeking behaviours. Paul already touched on some male-specific stigma there that we need to tackle to increase help-seeking behaviour. The ManBassador programme is delivered by men for men. So though I'm sat here as a woman today talking about this stuff, because we curated really the framework behind it all, it men who are specifically trained to deliver this and who understand the issues specifically to men when they're experiencing poor health, poor mental health, and having thoughts of suicide. So most workplace initiatives are generic or run by female employees. So we understand that men tend not to engage with that, or most men tend not to engage with that. To engage men, we need to be very direct in the way that we engage men. And to engage men, we also need to engage them with a different kind of activity. So, you know, you probably all did something for Time to Talk Day. Come and sit and talk about your mental health with a piece of cake and a cuppa. Chances are you didn't see a load of your male workforce flocking to that session. So we need to really make sure that men understand that this is for them specifically, and the activities are very, very engaging for men and tailored towards them. So you may already have found that most men aren't engaged in current workplace initiatives, and I'm going to run a little poll in the background just while I talk through the rest of this slide, just so that we can get a better understanding of your wellbeing strategy and how it's engaging men or not. So it is completely confidential, so feel free to answer the questions. There's 4 questions on there for you to complete. The poll should have just popped up on your screen just while I talk through the rest of this slide. So the ManBassador programme targets mental and physical health of the most at-risk groups, which obviously are men, but as you saw with regards to the earlier slide that Paul presented to us, there are some higher risk groups that put men at even higher risk due to things like socioeconomic status, and potentially some of their life experiences that they go through, which you'll actually see are unique to men when we look at the continuum model that we're going to look at. The ManBassador programme is designed to reach out to men rather than just waiting for men to be struggling with their mental health to ask for help. This is a completely different way of engaging men in their initiatives and looking at it more in a positive way of raising awareness, tackling stigma, rather than kind of mental health first aid style initiatives that wait to see the presentation of poor mental health and then respond to it. And because it is run by men, for men, the power of male to peer engagement is a huge part of this programme, and why we provide you with all the support to build a ManBassador network in your workplace. And we are going to share a little bit of a story about the power of that male peer-to-peer engagement as well. So we've got 82% have finished that poll. So I'm just going to share the results really, just so you can get a little bit of an idea on kind of why we've done this, and a bit of an idea across all the attendees here today of what's actually going on. So the question, how well are your current wellbeing initiatives engaged in your male workforce? So male workers are somewhat engaged, and we see that that's definitely typical. 20% say male workers are not engaged at all. Only 2 people said that male workers are very well engaged. So we can see here there is a huge gap on that engagement in the workforce. And we have the majority of people in the room have quite a large male workforce, with 37% saying in the majority, 46% saying kind of 50-50. Only 7 people, 17% said your male workforce is the minority, sorry. So does your wellbeing strategy aim to engage employees at higher risk? This is brilliant to see that 46% says yes. That's definitely what we need to do, is need to be looking at what makes employees at higher risk of experiencing poor mental health and physical health, and engaging them in the wellbeing strategy. However, that does leave 60% saying not quite sure or don't really know. Does your wellbeing strategy align with your diversity and inclusion strategy? Again, brilliant to see that 49% have said yes, but that leaves a large percentage saying kind of no, I'm not sure. And as we can see here, I think about people as in the workplace as kind of having one mind really. You know, we all bring our own lives to work. We all have our own challenges, and the whole workplace responds to how well or unwell our employees are actually doing in the workplace. So it's so important to make sure that diversity and inclusion strategy does align with your mental health and well-being strategy, so that we're looking at people who may be at higher risk due to some of these issues that they're experiencing outside of the workplace and that are brought into the workplace as well. So I'm just going to stop sharing that and play you a little video. So the video is by Sean, who is going to tell you a little bit of a story about his experiences of male peer-to-peer support and the challenges that he's gone through. So let me just press play on here.
For me, I initially came to give peer support because my father committed suicide when I was 3, and I got into it because I wanted to help people. But then I came to realise after coming to the groups for a while that actually I needed some support. So it's been interesting for my journey to learn about that side of it as well, because I initially came to help people, and I've now learned that I needed help myself, which is really, really good for me. And it's good to watch people on the journey and watch people grow from there, how they are as when they first walk in the door. And I feel it's very inspiring to watch they would tell you their darkest secrets and be open up. And for me, as being ex-military, it's like the camaraderie of coming and we're all there like a band of brothers, and we're there to help each other, support each other any way we can. And I think that's amazing, especially for men and the community that we live in, small towns, small minds. And I think that, for me, it was just inspiring. And I think it's really important that we're there. We can send a text in a WhatsApp group when someone's answering, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic cause. I watch people's grow as an individual, and I also watch friendship groups grow within the community, and that's what it is, a community. And obviously I've got friends within the community, and I go out with Paul and we spend a lot of time together, and you know, it's just nice when people walk in that door and they don't know what they're expecting when they walk in that door. They think they might be the only person there, or they might think that they're not worthy of coming, or their story's not, or that kind of thing. And then when they get there and they find that we've all got something in common, and that's the thing, we've got common ground, and it doesn't matter what journey it is or what your story is, it's your journey, and we all just grow with each other. Yeah, it's very important to, you're listening, every week you're listening, and you're learning from everyone's story. It might not be the same story, but you're learning on everyone's story, and the fact that all these men are in a circle listening to each other, and we try and give advice when we can. If we can't, we'll try and learn about it, and everyone's there, and I think it's that support there is just, you know, I've got a lot of friends outside in the world, and you know, here we're there to open up and support each other, and I think I don't see that in anywhere else. I've played football, military, and here's where I see actual men being men and opening up about what life struggles are. For me, when I think about ManHealth, I think of obviously a community within a community, and I just think of the fantastic work, and for me personally, for what my father committing suicide is, we're saving lives, and we're giving people another option, another doorway, and it's giving people something to think about and problem solving their own thing. So to me, personally, as a I wouldn't say a victim, but you know, I've gone through that struggle with being on the opposite side, and also gone through things my own personal side. So I can see both sides in that, and I'm learning from it. So I just felt it's really, really important. And again, it's just the camaraderie, and I just feel it's absolutely necessary within a community. And you grow every week. You grow as an individual, and every week you watch other people's grow, and it's like watching a child grow, and you're watching someone who comes in as timid, and they're there. And it's like, for me, it's like some people go to the gym, we come here, it's like that. You need to keep up. I come, and most weeks I'm at 8, 9, 10. But I come because I know that my positivity can inspire other people's positivity, and my story will help other people's story to come. And that's why I think of going. And then it's just there that when the people just think they need to come when they're down, and it's not about that. You need to just keep coming, and we'll support each other. So for me, I'm in a place where I can support other people, and that's important. And I think people need to know that in the world, it's not just about coming, oh, I can't go there, I'm not suicidal. It's not about being suicidal. We're all on different journeys in life. We all go through struggles. It gets to us different. And that's where I think it's really important.
So, super duper powerful story, and I think it really just it really gives a great flavour to what the ManBassador programme helps organisations to do by creating this network of ManBassadors who are there to provide that additional support and engage your male workforce in a completely different way to what you've probably already been doing so far. So sorry about this. I'm just trying to get out of here. There we go. Sorry. And we have lots of other stories like Sean's story, and you know, that story wasn't scripted, and it actually blew me away the first time I ever watched it, just at the power of the support that men can actually bring to each other. And seeing the success of the ManHealth groups is definitely something that we need to duplicate and get into, you know, every workplace that we possibly can to help to improve men's mental and physical health and save lives. So then the ManBassador programme, what actually is it? It comes with three things, really. The first thing is that we have a blueprint. So we've been delivering programs like this for many, many years. And one of the most important things about any program like this is that it's safe, that everybody is kept safe, that it's monitored, that it has infrastructure, and that it's actually providing the support that we say that it's going to, and it's a part of your continuous improvement and providing a high quality service. There is also the ManBassador role and the network of ManBassadors that you create in your workplace. And then there's the ManBassador campaign, which is the campaign that you launch your program internally. And then this becomes the annual ManBassador campaign that they will run year on year on year to continue to engage men in the program. So just a bit with the ManBassador blueprint. So we provide you with basically an operations manual. And the way that I like to think about this is, if you've ever been to a McDonald's in a different country, you will have realized that they're all the same, just about. They all run the same, they all look the same. You know what you're going to get when it's in there. The chips all taste the same. And that's because they have a very, very clear blueprint and operations manual that creates that infrastructure. And it's really important that we do this in the workplace because it needs to be safe, and we need to create accountability when it comes to supporting people's mental health, especially in the workplace. So the operations manual, we help you to implement that, and we provide you with the manual. So it is a service blueprint. So it provides you with all of the documentation that you need to implement it. It provides the understanding of your colleague's journey through the service, and it provides information on how to recruit and support your ManBassadors. We also make sure that safeguarding is a priority throughout the implementation of your blueprint and program, so that if somebody is in crisis, you have a very, very clear safeguarding policy and procedure that's embedded into the ManBassador program to keep people safe. We give you information on how to monitor and review the impact that the ManBassador program is making, and it's full of documents, templates. We provide you with the expert support and all the ManBassador artwork as well. So this it's fully branded for you to set up and launch. The ManBassador network is where we support you through the blueprint to engage and promote people who may be interested in becoming a ManBassador. We provide an engagement event for people to come along to so that they can better understand their role, the expectations, invite their managers along, because their managers are obviously an important part of providing that support to your ManBassadors so that they have the time to engage in the role. We take you through a full recruitment process, which includes guidance and documents to support the recruitment process as well. Then we help to train. So we train, actually it's not us, it's ManHealth that deliver the training. So ManHealth deliver the training, which is a 2-day level 3 men's health ambassador certificate. This is accredited training that they'll receive on how to be a ManBassador. So the training also comes with onboarding. So once they've gone through training, we then hold a 2-hour joint onboarding session with all of the ManBassadors and yourselves to go through really the bones of the blueprint so that they truly understand the operations and their responsibilities and role within the programme. So the ManBassador role itself, they will be trained to raise awareness on the 5 biggest killers of working age men, as we've already talked about. They will be planning male-friendly activities to engage men in campaigns. These could be 5-a-side football matches. It's not going to be grab a cuppa and let's talk about your health. These are going to be very, very different to engage men specifically, especially in some of the harder to reach groups of men or departments that you may have that don't necessarily have access to intranet pages and technology, where they need to be engaged out in outreach really and face-to-face. They'll be also trained to share their own relatable stories and experiences to help tackle that male-specific stigma and normalise help-seeking behaviour by sharing their journeys of recovery. They will also provide access to a confidential listening and signposting service, and they'll be trained in suicide intervention as well, so that throughout any point of a male colleague's journey, if they are at risk of significant harm, they have the skills to intervene in that situation, manage the crisis, and engage in your safeguarding policy and procedure to keep that person safe. So one of the big parts of the programme, once you've set it up and you've recruited your ManBassadors, they've gone through the training, your ManBassadors actually start to plan your launch of your programme. So we have a big launch, and we launch with the ManBassador campaign, which is the Where's Your Head At Mate campaign. So this is a tool that's been designed specifically for men to evaluate their own mental health and take action for recovery. So it can be tailored for you to include any internal support that you may have, and I'll show you how that'll work in a moment. It'll be used to launch your ManBassador program so that it's engaging. You're instantly giving people a tool. You're making people aware of the campaign and the program, how it can be accessed and what support they can expect through the program as well. This then becomes your annual campaign for the ManBassadors to launch, specifically linked into things like Men's Health Month, Men's Mental Health Week, wherever they see fit to actually run their own campaign to engage men in looking after their own mental health. So the Where's Your Head At Mate campaign, it is built around this tool. So this tool, we actually designed it a more generic one that we called the mental health continuum model. And that has been embedded into lots of organizations across the country and across the world, actually, with some of our international clients. And what we've done is we've actually, we did a focus group with some of the men at ManHealth, at the ManHealth groups, and they gave us feedback on how we can actually redesign the continuum to be specific for men, to engage men. And the ManHealth groups actually use this model at the start of all of the sessions to help men to check in on their own mental health. So it starts off with the question, you know, where's your head at, mate? Really, really easy question to ask. Answering that question, not so much. It can be very, very difficult for any of us to communicate profound emotions and feelings when we're struggling with our mental health. So it can be very, very difficult just to say, you know, are you okay? You know, where's your head at? Without helping people to answer the question. So you'll see it starts off with getting people to kind of reflect on, you know, have you noticed a difference in how you're feeling? Have others commented on a change in you? Are you or someone else worried about those changes? And have you experienced something that may have triggered this? So that we do know through a lot of research out there that there are particular times for all of us, but definitely for men, when they may be at higher risk of poor mental health and suicide, relationship breakdowns, becoming a new dad, money troubles, and physical illness as well. So the continuum model is a traffic light system, and once all of your men understand this system, the question becomes, where's your head at, mate? And the answer becomes the colour. This is a really, really simple way for everybody to understand then what that colour means and what action needs to happen next. So you can see we start off in the green. This is me on a good day. What is your normal? All of our normals are different. Your normal sleeping pattern will be different than mine. Your normal appetite will be different than mine. So this is kind of us on a good day. What are we like? What are our energy levels like? What is our mood generally like when we're feeling good? In the yellow section, I'm not feeling myself, is related to reacting to stresses. 100% of us react to stresses, and we may just not be feeling ourselves. It's lasted a couple of days, maybe a week, but we might be recognizing a couple of changes to our normals. We've started to see a change to our norm. In the unwell section, in the yellow orange section here, this is where somebody is struggling with potentially a mental health disability. The severity of the symptoms are impacting their ability to carry out normal day-to-day activities. And it's probably been going on for longer than a month. So there is a little bit of a time scale to this as well, and we can see some of the symptoms that may be related to that stage there. Then obviously in the red section, we have ill. This is somebody who is in crisis and is really, really struggling to even keep themselves safe. And you can see there that this is about, you know, making sure that people realize that these thoughts and feelings are a crisis and an emergency, and we really need to make sure that we support people in that moment. So I'm just going to run another quick poll for you to show you how simple it is. So the question is, where's your head at, mate? Are you in the green, me on a good day today? Are you yellow, reacting to stresses? Are you orange, you're struggling with poor mental health? Symptoms are really difficult to manage and it's lasted longer than 4 weeks. Or are you in the red, where you may need immediate support and help? So very, very quickly, you know, I've literally just skimmed through that, but it's obviously been an easy thing to understand for people, and you're beginning to evaluate your mental health here. So 68%, 70% have participated already, and straight away I've done a temperature check in the room. Obviously this is completely anonymous, but I know where the majority of you all are just using this temperature check. So some of our organisations that we work with use it to embed it into their employee surveys. Obviously running it as a campaign like this, it can really help us to get a good understanding of where people are at today. So I'm just going to end that poll. So if this was 47 men in my team and department, I would very quickly know that 55% of you are reacting to stressors, 43% of you are feeling me on a good day, and 3% struggling with poor mental health. So very, very quick temperature check. But obviously then, sorry, the form that there we go. The campaign that goes into what do we need to do. So you can see here, it says, no matter where your head's at, you can speak to a ManBassador in confidence for information on activities, resources and support. But it then gives you activities that you can do. So if you are reacting to stresses, these are the things that you can do, take action yourself. What you can do is add an additional page to this, which then will provide the resources that you offer. So it could be, if it's work-related stress, that speak to a manager or HR who can support you with a stress risk assessment. It may be if you are struggling with your mental health in the orange section, this is how to contact our EAP. Occupational health can provide some support. If you are in the red, how to contact a ManBassador so that they have direct access to somebody who can provide that support through crisis. So it can actually be tailored. But what this does, it empowers people to take action for themselves and to access support either externally or internally as well, once you've made this program tailored specifically to you in your workplace. We also provide ongoing support. So once you're up and running, you've had your big launch, you've run the Where's Your Head At campaign, your ManBassadors are, you know, preparing for the next campaign and looking at what activities they're going to engage their male colleagues in. We need to make sure that there's ongoing support provided for them. So there is an additional program. It's a membership program. So this is additional to the ManBassador program, but this provides ongoing support. This is where your ManBassadors will be provided by ManHealth with monthly support meetings. This is where they'll engage in things like reflective practice, checking on how they're doing. It'll also help them to plan for their new campaigns, engage in any additional learning that they need to engage in through the ManBassador program. Your whole workforce of male employees will also have access to ManBassador Chat and Connect. This is where they can access mental health support from men who are trained to support them. And ManHealth can actually come in and deliver ManBassador peer-to-peer support groups as well. So that will be engaging your male employees into those peer-to-peer support groups that Sean was actually specifically talking about in his video. Have I missed anything off there, Paul? I think I've just stolen your slide.
No, I think you've covered that very, very well, Emily.
Okay, thank you. This one's your slide though, Paul.
Okay, as ManHealth is a community interest company and we are a not-for-profit, you'll all be aware of corporate social responsibility. If you invest in the ManBassador program, that will enables you to do good in the community as a business. We will have a tie-in with you. You'll be able to promote yourself as working with a not-for-profit company. We will also, you know, by investing in the ManBassador program, you're also giving support to men in your organization, which your men live in your communities. So, you know, that free services to support men in the community. And by practicing your corporate social responsibility, your business makes our society a better place. And it certainly will boost your public relations. And all around, it's a really good thing to get involved in because you're supporting an organization that, you know, and that will enable us to continue offering free services to all the men we support 6 nights of the week. So it's a really good tie-in for your business in terms of corporate social responsibility.
Thanks, Paul. So just really to finish off and just do a little bit of a summary before we go into questions for the last 10 minutes. Hopefully, you know, you found this really engaging and interesting, and you want to join the ManBassador program to instill a healthier culture in your workplace that will improve men's health and save lives. We know we can do it. We've got years of experience from both of our organizations in doing this, and it's a really exciting collaboration to bring this all together and bring it into your workplace to create that ManBassador network. Just to kind of summarize that, this really is for us to join together with you to improve the health and well-being of men in the workplace. One of the things that I haven't looked at the questions yet, but I'm sure there will be a question in there, as we haven't mentioned women very much at all during this session. But one of the things that we are very, very aware of is that for many men, women are their sole source of support. So though the ManBassador program is targeted at men only with regards to the activities that they provide and the listening and signposting service that they provide, all of the information is obviously there for women as well to take away and share with their men in their lives. And I think as a woman, I can definitely put my hand up and say that I have some very important men in my life, and these are our men. And we need to be there to support them because they are at higher risk. Because of all of the things that we've talked about there today, we have to target them differently. We've got to get that information out to them, help to support to create that network of men, which when it's done properly, it becomes so, so powerful. So we really do hope that you want to join the ManBassador program and be part of this new movement in the workplace. So, questions. Tony, I think you're going to ask us any questions that have come up.
Yeah, so the first one we have is, what does ManBassador do to influence or change the cycle in younger males and children working on the things when growing up to try and make a shift in the journey that leads to the situations that we've discussed?
That's a really great question. So one of the elements of the training is about role modeling positive behaviours, and obviously these are men that will be role modeling towards other men, and that will then create a more positive take on understanding what asking for help or accessing support again in recovery is by actually role modeling it. They will also be tackling that stigma and changing people's mindset that are specific to the male types of stigma. So then hopefully, you know, those guys then go back to their home lives and transfer that information. everything that's covered in this program can be transferred out into the communities and workplaces as well, so that we do begin to change the cycle. But we have to educate people and support that role model and behaviour to change those behaviours to be passed on as well. Great question.
We've also had a couple around the question that you've just answered about what can women do to get involved with this program, and specifically if you only have female HR staff.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the parts of the recruitment process and the support that we provide is we help you to look at who is going to lead the program, who will be your lead. Obviously, we need to look at how we recruit that person, and a lead doesn't need to be front facing. The lead really just needs to make sure that the infrastructure in the program is running smoothly, data is being collected and doing all of the background stuff. So the recruitment process is a very, very important part of the ManBassador program, to make sure that we've got the right men there at the right time for them to engage in this type of role, and that it's represented on all levels of the business. It has clear sponsorship as well, and it's accessible to men at all levels. But exactly just kind of what I mentioned before about how it's there to engage women. You know, it's definitely a program that we want women to be supportive of. You know, these are things that none of us could ever, as a woman, imagine what it's like to be a man, going through some of these issues themselves. So it's a really important part that women are able to support that and understand why it's so targeted towards men as well, and actually promote that to their male colleagues, share that information with male colleagues, help to promote the service, and again, take that information back to their partners, their brothers, their fathers, our men who you know, may need that additional information, who, you know, maybe in a workplace that don't actually care or look after their health and well-being at work. So yeah, there will definitely be a huge part of supporting this program.
Great. We have another question about delivery area. For example, is the program available outside of the Northeast in areas like Scotland?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. As you can see through the beauty of Zoom, we can actually deliver this program anywhere. The statistics can be changed to represent the area. You know, we work with a lot of clients who are in Scotland, who are in Ireland, who are in the Netherlands, you know, across in European countries. So things like that can actually be tailored to represent your organisation and where it's at. And it's fully delivered virtually. It can be delivered in the classroom if you're local and it's a special request, but our training is designed to be delivered through Zoom so that it's engaging. A lot of it is kind of role play, discussions, practicing using the tools, you know, understanding the content of you know, the 5 biggest killers. So it was actually designed to make it more accessible to people outside of the Northeast.
Is ManBassador targeted at a certain age bracket?
It's targeted. Go on, Paul.
Oh, sorry, I mean, no, it isn't. We work with men aged 18 plus, so any male employees. I mean, if we talk about the 5 biggest killers, the 5 biggest preventable killers of working age men. So that will be any working man aged from 18 to 67, 68.
Yeah, definitely. And some of the problems that they'll be tackling, for example, suicide, we know that there is a heightened risk depending on age differences as well. You know, young men and men in the 45 to 49 bracket. Now, this is information that the ManBassadors will understand, and it's really important that they engage in looking at targeting those at higher risk as well.
Okay. One question we have here is, we have mental health first aid level 3 trained employees. Could they go straight into the onboarding training without doing the 2-day mental health course?
No, definitely not. This is not generic mental health first aid. I think that hopefully that comes through quite clearly. This is actually there is very little in kind of spotting signs and symptoms that we cover in those 2 days. The majority of the program is about understanding the complexities of how we break down the stigmas, how we engage men before the signs and symptoms actually appear, how we help men to access support. So it's a completely different training that they have. And obviously it covers physical health symptoms as well, and understanding the other 4 biggest killers of men when it comes to things like heart disease and cancer. So yeah, completely different. They would have to do that training, the ManBassador training, and the blueprint would also have to be implemented. Not all organizations have mental health first aid style initiatives with the infrastructure and safeguarding and monitoring in place. So kind of like you've got all the people trained to flip burgers, but they're all stood in the car park because they've got no kind of infrastructure to protect them and nobody to support them and monitor them. So it's really important that the program is actually delivered all together.
What kind of campaigns or health promotions does the ManBassador program help support with or provide?
Cool. So it's the 5 biggest killers that they cover. So they will be their main source of their campaigns throughout the year. We provide, tools for them to do that. But what we really train the ManBassadors to do is to think about how to plan their campaigns to engage men. So for example, one of the things we talk about is engaging men through indirect messages. So instead of saying, it's Heart Disease Awareness Week, we're going to do something on heart disease. Here's a leaflet. This is where you can get some help. They may organise, a 5-a-side football team match between the sales team and another department. So we really will be we'll be providing them with the main structure to what campaigns they need to focus on and where to get the resources for that. But then, they will be looking to do that in a very different way when it comes to engaging men. It'll be down to their creativity and obviously, the time and space that they would have to do that as well.
Do you see different types of mental health struggle by age group? He goes on to say, in my organisation, I come across typical mental health struggles of men in their 40s that have been discussed. However, I also see quite a few who are in their early 20s that have had mental health struggles. Are there different approaches to targeting by age?
Mm-hmm. I think, I know, Paul, you might be able to have some very clear insights from the ManHealth groups, actually, because you do have a clear range of men in there. But again, it's going to be about role modeling, and this is part of the training that we deliver, is how do they role model these positive behaviours? What we see when it comes to the triggers for poor mental health, they will all be the same. It could be trauma, no matter how old you are, relationship breakup, no matter how old you are, became a new father, no matter how old you are. What we do tend to see is how people respond, how men respond to that may be a little bit different. So we would look at, through the ManBassador program, looking at how they make it engaging for particular age groups. So for example, if it is heart disease, how are you going to target maybe the older age range? How are you going to target, if you've got a logistics department where you guys are all drivers and they're all sedentary, the majority of their life at work. So it's really an important part of the ManBassador program is that they understand engaging higher risk groups. So even though it's men, there are some higher risk groups within that male workforce as well. Do you have any insights into that one, Paul? Sorry.
No, that's so we get a full age range of men who attend the groups, and not wanting to generalize, But what we find is that men just need that space to be listened to, really, and that safe environment. The problems encountered by younger men and older men, like Emily mentioned, you know, there's the things like trauma, you know, the pressures of social media, predominantly for younger men. Relationship breakdown is a big thing for younger men, as it is for older men. So yeah, the ManBassador program would enable the ManBassadors to deal with all sorts of issues that arise from no matter what age of men.
One last question. How do we find out more specifically costs?
Okay, yeah, that's dead easy. So what we can do is I'll give you some basic information on costs here. The standard cost of the program is easy because that's your blueprint and your support to set it up, and that's £5,000. Then you will need to increase the cost depending on how many ManBassadors you actually want to put through the program. So we start with a minimum of 10, and it would increase from there, and it's £350 per ManBassador, and it's all of it is plus VAT as well. So that would be your standard costs £5,000, and then you increase it by £350 per ManBassador that you want to put through the training. But we can provide all this information to you on a follow-up email as well. I've just noticed I've got a couple of direct messages as well. Yeah, no problem at all. I'm going to follow up with an email to everybody with the recording, just as a reminder, the leaflet, so that you have that available. I'll attach the link to book in the next chat, really, where we can look at the program and how it would work specifically for you in the workplace, and start to dig a little bit deeper and how it would work, and a little bit more about you as an organisation and some of the problems you're trying to solve when it comes to your mental health initiatives. Great, I think that's just about it then, isn't it? Let me have a little look. Yeah, excellent. So
yes, it just leaves us to thank everybody for listening to us today, Emily, doesn't it?
Yeah, and, it does, definitely. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, thank you very much for everybody who's joined us today. I hope it's been informative. I hope you found it useful, and I hope it is something that you can adopt into your workplaces, because I do believe that, I know that this ManBassador program does save lives, because Emily and I have got proof of that. This guys spoke to Emily and I and saying these health interventions have saved their lives. So, you know, it's a really, really useful program to be involved with.
Brilliant. Thank you so much to everybody for coming along. I have saved all of your messages as well, so I'll make sure that we'll be in touch. And, you know, if there's anything at all that you think we can support with outside of the ManBassador program, if you are struggling with your wider mental health and wellbeing strategy,